Bonjour and welcome to French 1 with Mr. McCoy. This is lesson 36 dedicated to demonstrative adjectives. These are the adjectives that allow us to point things out, insist upon things. The adjectives that correspond to the English words this, that, these, and those. Okay, like in this book. Okay, these pens. Okay, so our learning objective for this lesson is for you at the end of the lesson to be able to point out and insist upon objects you already know how to name in French. Okay, and we talked about in the last lesson, we talked about adjectives, adjective agreement, adjective placement. Okay, and we learned in the last lesson that all French adjectives have to agree in gender and number with the nouns they modify. And we also again talked about placement. Turns out these adjectives are going to be placed before the nouns they modify. And we learned that most come after, but these are actually among those which come before. Okay? So again, I thought about some of the vocabulary that you already know, and I prepared a couple examples for you to check out, for you to consider. Okay? So again, think about the vocabulary you already know. Go ahead and put in your notes, if you will, a table like this one. Okay? You get your table like this one drawn up in your notes, and as I go through the examples, see if you can figure out which forms go in which part of the table. Okay, see if you can figure out how many different forms we have. Okay, and the way we would use each one. Okay, the form that corresponds to the gender and number. Okay, different categories. Okay, so here we go. Pay attention. Listen carefully. Okay, allons-y. On a ce stylo est rouge. Ces stylos sont bleus. Cette chaise est confortable. Ces chaises ne sont pas confortables. Ce livre est mince. C'est un roman. Ce livre est gros. C'est un dictionnaire. Cette porte est ouverte. Cette porte est fermée. Cette télévision marche. Cette télévision ne marche pas. Ce tableau est blanc. Ce tableau est vert. Ce poster est joli. Cet ordinateur est ancien. Ces ordinateurs sont anciens. Okay. Pause the video here if you need to look over what you came up with, think it through. Okay. Did you perhaps come up with a table like this one here? Did you get yours filled in more or less like this one? Okay. Perhaps you realized there are actually two forms that go in this first category here, ce and set. Okay. Did you notice that one too? Okay. So here are actually the forms of the demonstrative adjective in French. Okay? We have ce for masculine singular nouns, set for feminine singular nouns, c'est for masculine plural nouns, c'est for feminine plural nouns. Okay? So repeat with me. Ce, set, c'est, c'est. Okay? Ce, c'est, set, c'est. Now again, we also have this second masculine singular form. Do you have a guess as to why we have that second one, or when we use it? If you guess that we use that if the noun starts with the vowel sound, you are correct. Okay? So again, we have these two forms. Ce for masculine singular noun that starts with a consonant sound. Set if the noun starts with a vowel sound. Okay? So again, we have one form, the noun is plural, you don't have to worry about gender at all. You don't have to worry about how it begins. Okay? It's always c'est. Okay? These, those, whatever. If it's plural, it's always c'est. Okay? Now be sure not to pronounce the S. Okay, don't pronounce that S. Okay? But if your plural noun starts with a vowel sound, pronounce the S in liaison, okay? Like we did in ces ordinateurs sont anciens. Ces ordinateurs sont anciens, okay? So, ce, cet, and cette, okay? These can translate the English this or that, depending on the context, okay? Again, in English, you know, the object we're looking at is, you know, relatively near. We say this, like this book, okay? If it's relatively further, that book, okay? But if there's no room for confusion, okay, you just use these, okay? Now again, if you have a plural noun, okay, these, like these books, versus those books, okay? Again, say can translate either one, okay? So, these books, ces livres. Those books, ces livres, okay? So again, there's no room for confusion, okay? That's what you need to know, okay? But one last thing about learning to use this. If, instead, there is a possibility for confusion, we actually have suffixes which go at the end of the noun that we'll use to clear up or to eliminate any possibility for confusion. Okay, two suffixes. Again, these go at the end of the noun. I'll give you some examples of this. Okay, we use si, which comes from the word ici, here. Okay, or la, just from the word there. Okay, ici is here, la is there. Okay, these are two suffixes that you can add to the end of the noun. Okay, if you need to specify. So, for example, you know, don't know which door this guy doesn't know which door to go through. Okay, there's one that's relatively near, one that's further. Okay, you would say cette porte-ci, to indicate the one that's relatively close. Okay, this door versus cette porte-là for the one that's further away. Okay, you see that? Cette porte-ci would indicate this one. Cette porte-ci or cette porte-là? Which one? This door or that door? Cette porte-ci or cette porte-là? Okay. All right. For example, you know, again, it's relative position. Okay. You see these. I might say, ce stylo-ci est rouge. Ces stylos-là sont bleus. Okay. It's a relative position. Again, if there's no possibility for confusion, okay, you don't need those suffixes. Okay. It's only if there's a possibility for confusion. You really need to be specific. Okay. For example, I might say, you know, if I use your imagination here, okay? I like this book, but I don't like that book. How would I say that? Okay. If you came up with, j'aime ce livre-ci, mais je n'aime pas ce livre-là, you'd be correct. Okay? J'aime ce livre-ci, je n'aime pas ce livre-là. Okay? No offense to the authors. Okay? Just an example. Okay? So we'll practice a little bit with this in class. Okay? And you should have learned in here how to point out, how to insist, the way to choose which adjective based on the noun you're working with. Remember, when you learn that vocabulary, learn the gender at the same time. Otherwise, you'll be lost. Okay? But go over that. Again, we'll practice with this in class. Merci bien. Bonne chance, bon courage. Et au revoir.